couldn't. There you go. It's now being recorded. Awesome. Being recorded live before a studio audience. Welcome everybody to the Alva James Riggan Jr. Centennial Extravaganza birthday celebration. Here. Well, but seriously, it came to my attention just a few months ago that this date would be coming up, and then things just sort of life got in the way. And then as y'all saw, y'all got an email or text message from me indicating that if y'all would be interested in having this call. And apparently there's a lot of interest as we celebrate a man who had a tremendous impact on all of our lives. So let's do this though. This is a celebration, time of remembrance, time of reminiscing, and time of family get-together and the like. And I'm going to call out who I have here. We have Austin Andrews is on here, who's one of Beth's children. We have Dawn with one of Carroll's. We have Kevin, one of Rose's. And who else we got here? I see Sarah and I see Diane. I see Carroll. I heard Jennifer. I think she's there. Chris is on the line with us. And Phyllis, you're there, right? Thought I heard Phyllis in there. Who else do we have on the line with us?
Raymond.
Raymond. Raymond, can you hear us?
I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Awesome. Okay. Who else? Whose name have I not called out? If you're on the line.
Carter. Yes, sorry, me.
Beth, you're there. Beth and her family. Beth and Turner and Robert.
Hello.
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 That's Rose on the phone.
And Rose. That's right. Rose in the parking lot. That's right. We won't ask what parking lot, but we would.
Well, you can take a guess. It starts with a D. Ducks.
Oh yeah. I thought of a lot of words. I was trying to figure out which D would it be. But yes, it would be ducks. You're correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, we have a concert.
Oh, okay. Are you performing tonight?
Well, no, not really. I usually do that Friday or Saturday night, but anyway.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's do this. I know everybody's time is precious. There's no real formal program, and of course, we are recording it. We like if for anyone who'd like to, we thought it would be, great for those for all of us to hear any special thoughts or remembrances on what would be AJ Riggan's 100th birthday. And I'm just going to sort of navigate a little bit, but I'm going to not do much talking at all after this because I want to hear what you may want to share. So does anybody have any technical issues?
Is anybody hearing me?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Yes, ma'am. Woo-hoo! I feel old.
We hear you.
Hey, somebody just joined us. Who just joined us?
That was Phyllis, wasn't it?
Well, I just was that her number? Okay, I just did admit on somebody. So
no, there's another phone number there. Somebody else.
Okay, all right. Well, if we have any special mystery guests, then maybe they'll reveal themselves later on.
Yeah.
But with that, I think it'd be great. First of all, to start with the siblings of AJ Riggan, and spend a few minutes each, if you like. Again, we want to make sure we have enough time for everybody, but we'll a few minutes each, if you'd like, to share a special thought or remembrance as we think about this 100th birthday. So with that, I'm just going to go in order. Mom, anything you want to share about your dad today? Mom will be Diane.
Diane, that's me. Okay, I will say a few words. Okay, this is Diane talking. I'm AJ Riggan's firstborn. He always said I was his firstborn. And of course, I was the oldest of 5. They had 5 kids, and I was the first one. And he was always good to all of us. And I remember me and Carroll, my brother, used to used to go up to Bennett Chevrolet at night, and when Daddy would go back and do his book work, and we would go back with Daddy up there, and we walk around in the showroom where the cars were and everything. He didn't sell, well, once in a while he sold a car, I reckon, but he really was a bookkeeper all those years. And we enjoyed going up there. And then I was the first one, oldest one, so I was chose to do all the grass cutting over the years in the yard. We never had a riding lawnmower. We always had a push mower, and so I always pushed the lawnmower. Of course, I haven't pushed no lawnmower in quite a while now, and I turned that over to my daughter and my children to do their own thing. And I remember Daddy always liked it down at Tabernacle Church. I played 40 years down there for piano, but his favorite song was "The Last Mile of the Way," and he got up and sung that one time at Tabernacle. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Mom. Anything else you want to share before we go to Carroll?
And he helped me do a lot of things, like he helped us all. And I had to do a lot of things on raising my family and helping with my husband. And when my husband got sick, Daddy helped me show me how to do the book work and I learned book work from him. And I've still got my book that he gave me where I could start writing my things down. And I've got receipts everywhere concerning my life. But
Right.
I remember when Craig got sick, he sent him a pair of his own shoes. So that was just some good things, about him.
There.
All right.
Okay, I'll hush now, and I love all of you.
All right. Thank you, Mom. We're gonna now shift over to Carroll. Carroll, you're the next in line of the AJ Riggan progeny.
Okay, that sounds good with you. Yeah, I'm Carroll Riggan. What I thought I'd do is just list a few things that stand in my mind. Some kind of funny, some kind of whatever. But Dad was involved in a womanless wedding back years ago, and that the Lions Club he was in, they had to dress up like women, and in all kind of outfits, and so that was a big fun thing I remember as a kid. Diane mentioned about Bennett Chevrolet Company. One thing, but me too, I'd go down and do my homework down there while he was church school superintendent of the Tabernacle Methodist Church for many years, and was very involved in church work and always involved in it, really. Always involved in the county fairs and so forth. One thing he liked to do, well, let me point this out. We had a bunch of cats. Bunch of cats, about 18 or 20 cats, and they all had names. And Daddy decided one day, he said, "I will get rid of these cats." I'll tell you that. So he loaded up the car with all the cats, 20 cats, like I say, and it was really a fun thing to watch him driving out of the driveway with 20 cats crawling across his head and down to his feet. And that was a beauty, I think, AJ Jr.
Now, is that where he used to turn his cap around and spit, or is that when the black cat walked in front of him?
Well, he did both. He did both of those. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I got an amen out of somebody on that. How about that?
We had a little farm that Dad threw together, built some places for chickens and all. We had 2 pigs, 1 calf, 2 mules, and 43 chickens. And so that was our farm, as big as it was. But Dad did that on the side away from his other work. So I can list a bunch of them down. I know we're tight on time, and I just want to throw those few things out. Fun. What do you think? Anything else you want to know?
Well, we can circle back. We can certainly circle back. We want to go through everybody we can.
Give everybody a chance. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much. Appreciate being a part of this. God bless Dad.
Yeah. And understand you and Jennifer got your hands full watching Victoria's kids while they're down in Mexico, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We Taylor helped out too. She can't go with me. We went. What do we go to today? Yeah, it's jumping jack game. Get the kids out of the house so Jennifer could get some rest.
Oh,
So
yeah.
anyway, we're back and she's a little rested up now. But
All right.
if you have a little more room time later, I'll come back around and say a few more things.
Yeah, we'll come back around. Next, we'll go on to Phyllis. She's with us.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, you're next up.
Well, Carroll mentioned something about all the cats and stuff. What I remember about Daddy with the cat situation is if one went across the street in front of him, you know, when he was driving, I mean, he would spit on his finger and put the X in the left-hand corner. So y'all remember that, I know. That was the funniest thing. I mean, he always did that. A cat moved across, and I mean, it was like, this is bad luck. Even though I didn't think he was that superstitious, that's what he did anyway. But another thing about Daddy is, you know, most of our years, you know, with Daddy and everything, he didn't really have much hair. And I ain't never in my life, he used a brush and he would brush and brush and brush. I watched him in the mornings. And I mean, he was always neat as a pin, of course, but when he'd brush that hair, he'd brush it over and over and over again and rub that hand across his hair. But anyway, that's two things, you know, about him. But I remember how he read his Bible, and that's probably one of the most emotional things I could bring up right now, is what an inspiration he was to me as a dad, to see him every day in the Word of God. And so that has really done a number on me, and for the good, to kind of master my life after him the best that I can. And I'll never be like him, but he was precious to me. So that's a few of the things that I can remember. But like Carroll, I mean, if we make another round, another time around, maybe I can give you something else.
All right, thanks, Phyllis. Now we'll move along to Raymond, RMR, the big rig.
See, hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'll look at some of my notes here and see what I got. My earliest memory of my dad was watching him plow with a mule. And I would, as a little youngster, follow along with him, behind him, way behind him in the field. I will advance my notes all the way to later in life. Daddy, he told me anyway, advice-wise, always pay something on every bill. Don't let something go by every month. He said, pay at least $5 on each bill to keep these, you know, people off your back. Tidbits, he religiously computed gas mileage on every trip we went on. He was just a dickering away with the little pad and pen, you know. And of course, I kind of do that too. If you bought a gift for my dad, it had to have a pocket on it so he could put his pens in it. So he just didn't give the shirt back to you if you didn't have a pocket on it. When I was a teenager, he disciplined me at the dinner table one time, and I'll never forget that. He basically straightened me out as a teenager, and teenagers can be very critical of anything from what you're eating for supper or whatever, and he set me straight, and I'll never forget that. We can come back around for some more juicy stuff. But he would always call me. I don't care what time in my life it would be. He would call late at night. It would be 11 o'clock at night or after, mainly to get the cheap rate back then. But he would call me late, and except for one time after his heart surgery in '79, he called me the next morning, woke me up. I was at ORU in Tulsa. And he called me specifically to let me know that he was all right. And I said, wow, y'all can come back around to me. I got some more juicies.
All right. Thank you, Raymond. We next have up Rose. You still with us?
Yeah, I am. I guess my earliest remembrance of him was, I don't know how young I was little, and he always would put me on his feet and pull me up and down, and it was so much. I remember, I mean, to this day, it was so much fun. That's the one thing I remember about him that I loved. And then one time, this is real funny. It was real funny to him. He took me to work with him, which was probably a mistake. But and I got on the typewriter, and everybody was gone. It was late at night, and I got on the typewriter, and his old kind of typewriters they had, and a Helton. I guess that was the woman that worked with him, and it was her typewriter. And I wrote something really funny about beating Raymond's butt or something. I don't remember exactly what all it had in it, but it was real funny. And he got back to work the next day, and and she brings it to him. He says, "By chance, did you have somebody with you last night?" And yeah, he got a kick out of that, or what I had written. And I don't remember what it was. It was funny. But the one thing he did for me, and I have to say, is he sat down with me with his old adding machine at the kitchen table, and he taught me how to balance budgets, what you're supposed to do, credit-wise, all that stuff. And guess what I'm doing today? I've been doing for 37 years. I mean, that's what I do. I'm mortgage banking and, have been, and that comes from him. That was my background from him. So, he was a super guy. I can't say enough about him. And all of us were very fortunate to have a dad that was a good man, didn't cheat on his wife, went to church. I mean, because look around you today and what's out there. I mean, so many people can't say that. And he said one thing that stuck with me. He said, "We're not going to have any divorces in this family." We're talking about us 5 children. And look around. We didn't. We all stayed with who we married to, and that means a lot. But he told me that early on. I said, "Oh, well, I've been hanging on for 43 years. But anyway, and I'm going to have to run because Elbert's inside and hold me a place. So, but I wanted to get with y'all and share what I had to share. So,
Well, Rose, thank you for joining us. We are recording it, so you can we'll be able to make available to you and anybody else the recording later on for those who couldn't be with us.
Okay, thank you.
We love you, Aunt Rose.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, next, I guess next we'll get into the grandkids, and I'm gonna try to do these in the order. I think I've got these in the order of those who are with us and by order of age. And I think since I was the oldest of the grandchildren, I'll just do real quick. Obviously, like for all of us, Papa, that's what I call him. Papa was a role model for me in every respect, personally, professionally, socially, in faith, you name it. And learned a lot from him. I'll come back around and have some more things, but obviously I remembered about the cat and turning the cap around and spitting on and all that. A lot of sayings I still find myself repeating. Great day in the morning. He'd say things like that. And he'd wave by like this when he'd wave by to you. Remember that? And then something which I particularly remember, I do this now. Whenever if I speak in church, I remember every time that he would have a testimony, and he'd have a testimony every Sunday at Tabernacle. And he would have the Riggan pew that he'd sit on, and he would say, he'd start off. Now I use it as a way to get used to speaking, starting remarks. But he would say, "It's always good to be in the house of the Lord." And no matter what he would say, he'd always start with that. And so I appreciate that because that's true. But it's also every time I'm in church, I'm reminded to say that because it's something that I learned from him. Last thing I'll share for this round that I will never forget is that Papa, again, we all got all kind of memories, but growing up in Hamlet, and many of you were able to do this too, he was a passionate, longtime member of a lot of organizations, Lions Club, the PD Electric, you name it. But he all Methodist Men, but he also was very active with the Hamlet Men's Prayer Breakfast, and he went to that and was very active with it for a long time, and it was fascinating. He'd bring any of us in, and the average age would be like, 70, 75, 80 years old, but, and it'd be great to be a young person. But he was so proud to talk about his family. And I came across something I want y'all to hear. If you'll bear with me. I could do nothing without him. I truly fail. Without him, I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? You can't turn him away. Oh Jesus, oh Jesus, without him I lost, I would be. One more verse. Without him I could be dying. Without him I'd be enslaved. Without him life would be hopeless. But with Jesus, thank God I'm saved. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? You can't turn him away. Oh Jesus, oh Jesus, without him I lost, I would be. And that was our special mystery guest, I guess, for tonight. No mystery to us, that's Papa. And he recorded that. He was part of a program at the Hamlet Methodist Men's Prayer Breakfast. And on the backside was another program, and it was recorded July of 1988. So this would have been recorded sometime in the mid 1980s. And I'm going to download that to, I guess, an MP3 so I can preserve it. So that's all I'm going to share right now. I hope that was a when I heard that this afternoon before tonight's call, I thought y'all want to hear that. All right, Chris, anything you want to share with us tonight?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was good to hear that. That sounded pretty good. I don't know, I was kind of a quiet kid, so I didn't talk to him much, but I remember he always seemed to have a smile on his face and a happy guy, and just a real good man. And I didn't, but I can't have a specific memory of anything. It's just that I do remember that. So I just, want to share that.
Well, he loved his grandchildren and he loved his children. We know that. So, thank you, Chris. And we'll come back around to some folks, I know all of us will probably have our memories jogged as we talk further too. Beth, you're with us?
I'm right here.
I think you're next in age, I believe.
He was 50 when I was born. And let me say, I've heard him say many a time he had to go see a man about a mule.
Amen.
I'm Beth Goodwin Howell. I'm the oldest granddaughter of Alva James Riggan Jr., AJ Riggan Jr., Papa, or Jay, as Grandma might say. Why is that? Was she calling him Jay for James or Junior? Who's to know? My Papa, he was a very well-known person in Hamlet and in the community. He worked at Richmond County Bank and Southern National Bank in Hamlet. When he had his open heart surgery, he recuperated at Uncle Carroll and Aunt Jennifer's. He then started delivering Meals on Wheels. I was my Papa's shadow, and I went with him to pick up the meals from the hospital cafeteria, and then take them out to the elderly who couldn't get food for themselves. He never met a stranger, and they all loved him. There were a lot of African American homes that we went to, and at 9 years old, well, 7, 8, and 9, As a young girl, I saw and heard how they all appreciated, oh, how so much. They loved to see him just stop by and say hello and drop off their meal. This is probably misquoted, but Papa always said you hadn't been to church till you went to a black church. Papa helped he helped so many people when he was working at the banks. I can remember meeting so many different business owners, from salons to store owners to just owners who got their bank loan from Papa as a signature loan for money just to buy a car or to start their business. And they never forgot that. They never forgot him for that. As a reminder, Papa worked at Bennett Chevrolet for years as a bookkeeper way before the banks. And he would buy cars, and he would wash his cars and truck, and he would wear his Bennett Chevrolet long white jacket thing from Bennett Chevrolet. Papa loved Tabernacle United Methodist Church, and he would often, once per month, prepare the communion, bread and grape juices in the silver trays. He loved God and he loved his family. He raised all of his children at Tabernacle United Methodist Church. He never stopped taking care of the ones he loved. I was blessed to be able to stay with my grandparents my senior year of high school. Papa went out of his way to make my graduation day special, and he surprised me with having my friend Angela and her mama Karen drive up from Charleston on my graduation night. I was truly surprised. My Papa, he was an amazing encourager and someone that would always give good advice. My Papa always tried to see the good in people. I miss and love my Papa. Happy 100th birthday to AJ Riggan Jr., my Papa. I love you all.
Thank you, Beth. All right, next up we have Dawn. Dawn, I'm sorry. Yes, Dawn. Well, you're next. That's right.
I'm kind of like Chris. I just know he was just a sweet man. He was very loving and kind, and Grandma was really tough. I think she was a little tougher, and he'd kind of let you get by with a little more. So I remember that very well. But just really big into the church, just how important that was to him and to his family, and how he made that a big part of who we all are. So I mean, I don't have specific memories either, but you guys all sharing things, it makes me remember what he does. When he always used to use that adding machine, or he would always be working on something with money, budgeting. I just know that. But just a great man, and I just wish him a happy 100th birthday in heaven.
Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, you're right, Grandma. She was the enforcer, man. She had that. What was the name of that strap?
Oh,
Miss Susie.
Miss Susie. In the Lord, you didn't want to
in the drawer. In the drawer beside the washing machine. Let's
right. Dare anybody hide, Miss Susie? Not that I did that, but anyhow, we will now move along. I think Leslie, I think joined us. Leslie, you're with us.
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey. All right. Well, I think one of the kind of oddest things that I remember about him, which is funny, and he would always grab my arm and tell me how tough I felt. And I remember Mama would say stuff like that about how he would talk about that I was just unusually tough when he would like squeeze my arm. And maybe Phyllis can tell more about that. I don't know, but that just sticks out in my mind about him, something different that, you just normally wouldn't think of doing, but he would laugh at me when he would say it. So not quite sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing to be tough, but that's what he would always do to me. And I do remember getting checked out of school a couple of times by him when I was quote unquote sick, you know how we are in elementary school. So he would check me out, and it was pure torture because that's when he would go around delivering the Meals on Wheels, and me being in the back seat, and it was just boring as I don't know what, but I guess that was my punishment, I guess, for laying out of school or pretending to be sick. So Phyllis would have Papa Riggan come and check me out a couple of times.
I think that's called karma.
Well, it taught me something anyway.
Right. All right. Thank you, Leslie. Kevin, I think you're next up. You're here by video and audio, I think, right? By phone. No audio. Okay. All right. Well, cool. Well, you can just for those who are with us, you also have the chat function if you want to put something in the chat. But we're glad to see you, and I see you got. Good to see you got. Is that Graham? Is that Graham there with us? Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. All right. And I know we're getting to the with grandchildren. There are others who are on the call with us who weren't blessed to get to know Papa or AJ. But next up we have Sarah. Sarah, you with us?
Good afternoon on this evening before the Memorial Day. I wish everybody a great Memorial weekend, by the way. Happy 100th birthday to Papa in heaven. As I was looking through pictures that I posted last night, if you hadn't had a chance, go back on the messenger, and I did post some pictures that I had come across through Mama's pictures and so forth. But as I was looking through those pictures, it jogged a lot of my childhood memories. So I tried to make some notes here. So Papa, he did, and some of these things have already been mentioned and kind of touched on by some of the others that have already spoke. But Papa, he always read his Bible before he went to bed. I recall seeing his Bible open on the dining room table or the kitchen table because it was right there all together. And he would sit there and he would read. And I don't know if I sat down with him to read with, or I just remember that's what he did. And a lot of times I was over there at night and spent the night sometimes. I remember him picking up his friend George to take him to church. I love riding with Papa before, heading to church or something. Like Beth said, she said she was his shadow. But I felt the same because I felt like I wanted to go anytime I had an opportunity, I wanted to go wherever he went. And it was amazing of how the experiences that he took me along, tagged along, and I was able to meet the folks that he loved or he encountered on a weekly basis. We went around town, so just to Mr. Swell's shoe store. I remember that's how I learned about repairing shoes, and the bicycle shop in Hamlet that's no longer, I don't know if it's torn down now, but it used to stand there, but it looked like it was falling in at one point. But I remember going in there and meeting the man who used to fix bicycles with Papa. And he also took me into the hotel, the old Hamlet hotel. I don't know why we went in there that day, but we went in. There was over to the left, there was a man where you check in, but then there was like an old phone booth inside it, and it had a little seat and old timey phones where you had to pick up and you could talk into the mouthpiece. I remember going in there while he was chatting with the gentleman, and I just remember thinking how cool it was, and I enjoyed viewing the tiles on the floor. When you first walked in, it was very interesting, very cool. And that place was near Birmingham Drugstore in Hamlet, where he was known to probably go in and chat with some of the older men as well. He took me all over. I have a cat story. He pulled my cat Blackie that was there at Grandma and Papa's house. Blackie got in Mom's car one day in the engine part, and Papa was strong, and he just opened the hood, got Blackie out like nothing, and Blackie was on 8 lives then. And then later on, not long after that, Blackie got in a dog and cat fight, and Papa and Grandma called me and said that had happened after school one day, and I got a call. But he was strong. He looked out for me. He took me wherever. He gave me candy. He gave me those. What's that candy? It's got little stripes on it. I can't think of the name of it, but it's got kind of a crunchy. No, it's not I can't think of it, but it's usually you find it in little packets in the convenience store now. But it used to be in any kind of little store you could get in and buy it for like a nickel or something. But it had, but it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And Papa hung the moon. He was awesome. He took me everywhere, and we went to on Fifth Sunday night singers. We went to the church that was right beside Tabernacle, and I experienced going to African American church where they love the Lord and sung out, and it was a different experience. So he took his grandchildren places, those who were able to spend a little bit extra time with them, and able to show us different things. And I appreciate it. And I think of him often in times where I've been in certain places, and I recall if I ever go to the bank in Hamlet, where I used to go a lot when I worked with Melanie and Wayne, I'd have to go to the bank in Hamlet, and anytime I walk in that bank, I remember him being there and taking me and speak with the ladies that worked there that he used to work with, and even when I've come across many people over the years that have talked to me about how he was the first person that they went to get a loan for their house or something like that. So he had an impact in the community so much more so than we really realized, I think, at the time as we were young then, when he was living at the time. So I was 10 when he passed, and but those 10 years were special, and he definitely made a huge impact in my life. So I wish you all well today, and I'm gonna let whoever else needs to speak now. So I thank you, and I love you all.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Mark, I think you're with us. Anything you'd like to add?
I'll add just a little bit. I was very, like Sarah and all of us, I was very young when he passed away. And I didn't really have a lot of memories that stuck out with me as I heard about this event. But I definitely remembered when he passed away, being outside of Grandma's house. I think even Sarah came out and talked with me and Ben, who was even younger. And you could really just kind of tell what kind of person he was in his life and how he's touched each and every one of you. And I think for me, even though I don't have strong memories of him, because I would only probably see him once a year, maybe because of the Riggan reunions for so many years before he had passed. But hearing all the stories from each and every one of you has been helpful for me, one, to know what type of person he was, how he's contributed to the world. And I think above all else, it's helped me understand him better to be able to tell someone else who might want to know about him. So in that regards, I actually feel like I know him more, even though I don't have anything personal about it. But he was definitely a great man for sure, from what I've heard, and definitely would love to hear more stories from you all. And even the audio, that was really awesome to hear his voice, because I know that was probably very hard to find back in the day, whether it was audio or video with technology. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got. So yeah, love to hear from everyone.
All right, thank you, Mark. And I know we got some of the grandkids. I think Rebecca is at Disney World, I believe, and Victoria, I think, she and Josh are traveling. Do we have any others before we circle back around? Any of the either Jennifer or Wayne Fuller or any others who want to share anything before we see if there are any questions from the great grandkids? I mean, the great grandkids didn't know him personally, but there may be some questions. But is anybody else on the line that hasn't had a chance to say anything you'd like to, who hasn't spoken yet, who wishes to add a memory or add a thought?
I'm one of the people who never met him personally. He's a picture on the wall in my mind. But something that I think about when I see all of your faces, including my own, is that in the picture that I know of him and the picture that I've seen, when he's smiling and smiling hard, it kind of goes upside down. And all of you have this. All of you smile. When you smile hard enough, it kind of goes upside down. So this is something that I like to see, and I see in all of your faces, even though I didn't know him. It's him that I see in all of you and in my own face. Thanks, Mima.
And Austin is joining us from New York City, I believe. Is that right? All right. Do we have any other comments from anybody?
Diane, can I say something? Diane, can I say something?
Sure. Oh, sure.
I remember one thing too about Daddy. He took me. He had many people, like Beth said, from the bank and in the community, and not only white people but the black people. And I'm telling you what. When I was raised up, one thing I want to say too, when we lived out in the country, there was a little little black fella that drive the little, they used to be a peach orchard up there above us. And he would drive by and he throwed peaches out to Carroll out there in the yard, in the front yard. And as far as the black people like Daddy might have known everything, he took me to a black church one time. I went with him to somebody's funeral, somebody he knew, and we stood out like on the side, you know, like to have the rooms to the side like that, you know, when they had that particular funeral. But I mean, and my mama, I have to bring her in here too, even though it's his day. She taught me to love the little black babies, and from this day and forward, I have always loved to touch the babies' heads, and I know I got that from my mama, and my daddy and my mama well, I just love both of them. That's all.
I just want to say that Papa loved Brew. And if you knew Papa, and if he used to sit in the rocking chair in the den, and I would get behind him, and you know, of course, somebody mentioned already, I think it was Aunt Phyllis, he didn't have a lot of hair, but I think he put the brood on his head. I don't know. I would smell his head, and it like tickled my nose, and it smelled so good. I don't know, but he would rock, and then I would get behind him and sneak up behind him and smell his brood. And then I think
would buy cases of that brood from Eckerd's.
Okay.
Right.
And he would sing in the shower.
Yeah,
Mama used to say that. Yeah.
Oh, my hope is built on nothing less. That was a song.
You don't normally hear that sung in the shower, but I'll remember that. But I will. He also liked Aqua Velva, between Brute and
Aqua Velva, yes. I think I got you one of them for your graduation or something.
I'm sure you did. And before we go back around, when Phyllis mentioned about it was Phyllis, and then of course Sarah talked about he didn't have much hair on his head, and he was still combing it and brushing it or whatever. You know, there's the parable about the faith of a mustard seed. You know, so I think that's probably what was at work there. He had faith that he was going to have some hair there, and he still would go to the barbershop down there at the corner of Main Street, and he'd go get his hair cut every week. And the way they'd say, "Do you like the way we've done it?" And he would put his hands on his head, and he wouldn't have to look in the mirror. He'd just do like this. That's it. It's all good. It's all good.
I was in that facility this past week. They've now changed it to Derby's Tailoring, and I told that story to the owner.
Yeah, it was Tom Rankin and was in particular who was there at that point. All right, let's circle back around because again, everybody's time is precious, and again, this is a very special occasion, and I know this is also a holiday weekend. Is there anybody else on the line that hasn't spoken yet who might want to share a thought or a memory or a question before we see if Carroll or Phyllis or Raymond like to share with us a few more things about A.J. Riggan Jr. Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet? Carroll, do you have any more thought? I know you're being the oldest son. I'm sure you got this, obviously you have a lot of memories. Anything else you'd like to share with us as we celebrate the 100th birthday?
Yeah, back when we we always had a dog, seemed like everywhere we lived. And all of a sudden, the dog we had bit me one day. And my daddy saw him, and so he continued to try to attack me again. And so he ran out there and grabbed that dog and threw him up against the pump house. And the dog went off hollering or whatever. But Dad had him, what's the word called when they send the dogs off to check them out to see if they have
rabies.
Rabies, yeah, rabies. And when he was checked out, and the dog didn't have rabies, but Dad did that to make sure that he wouldn't get out into the public anymore and do that. Also, a couple of things. A lot of people don't know Daddy could cook. Mom was the main cook of our house, but he was so old to do special things, and he loved to fix meatloaf and do it just right. And fried chicken. He was good with fried chicken, like to cook it real slow. He said, "Carol, that's the way you do it, real slow now. That way it's gonna fall off the bone before you even start to bite it." But anyway, yeah, when I leave, you don't grab me a bite.
You go to Chicken Box. For that.
Chicken Box, yeah, I remember Chicken Box.
Roasted chicken.
Let's see if there's anything else at this point.
He would cook stew beef and cut it up real small.
Yeah. Well, all kind of extra things. One other thing Dan would do every year is working at the Benny Chevrolet in Buick Place. He would get a car, a brand new car, and drive it for vacation, mountains or beach, where it was. And then after he got back, he'd sell that car and of course make a little money on that. And that's the way he would do. He was just that kind of person, very, very involved.
He made meatloaf in a wash pan.
Well, that might be new to me. I don't really realize that. But anyway, all the things like my baseball coming along and my football coming along, all that. Daddy was always there, and he tossed the ball to me, threw it to me harder as I got bigger and able to handle baseballs. But anyway, we had some good thoughts there. Let's see, I thought I had one other thing. Oh, well, one final thing. My dad and myself, we'd go to gospel singings on Sunday nights because our church didn't have service on Sunday nights, so we'd go to singings there and hear the gospel music and pray and all, and then when he called on Mr. Riggan to have the nightly prayer, and he'd always do that, and that just showed how everybody knew that he was a Christian man, and he did it no matter where he was. He just always called on to pray. That's about all the major things I've got right now, I think. Yeah, he's a prayer warrior for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Carroll. Phyllis, any additional memories you want to share with us as we celebrate the 100th birthday?
One thing I remember when I turned 16 years old and Daddy would get in the car and ride with me, I'd look over to the right. I know I'm supposed to have my eyes on the road, but I mean, Daddy would have not only one hand holding on to the handle, I mean, like a protection, and then he'd have his left hand go over. He was holding with both hands, and I'm thinking, Daddy, I'm not that bad of a driver. But anyway, that come to mind. That's one of the things he did early on. Another thing is, I think whichever one of you mentioned it about, Daddy would call it unforeseen times. And I can remember when Wayne and I had gotten home from our honeymoon, and the phone would ring at, like I said, at unforeseen times. And so if you know what that means, but anyway, hello. So it's like he would call.
Family show here. Family show.
Yeah, yeah. He would call.
It's a family show.
All right, Kevin, I see you laughing. But he would. It was constant and everything. It was like, why does he always call like this? But anyway, I love that about him, though. I mean, it's always good to be able to laugh now and go back and think of the times that maybe wasn't as much laughter, but now it's really funny. But the only last thing that comes to my mind now, and I mean, if we could be on here forever, all these things would come back to me. But and Mark, you will appreciate this little bit of information. I don't know how many times now I call your daddy little AJ, because Raymond is the one in the family that he checks with us. He may call at an unforeseen time, maybe not in the same unforeseen times, but if he's on the road and he's got a few minutes, he's going to call one of us. And I can vouch for that, because he's the most caring brother, little brother, because he makes those calls. And Raymond, you'll never know how much I appreciate that.
This ain't my birthday.
Huh? What?
This ain't my birthday.
Well, I'm just saying that, because you are so much like Daddy. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Daddy would do all those calls and check on all of us, and you're doing the same thing now, and maybe you don't realize how much you are like him, but that's an honor and a privilege to be told that. And I love you for that. And I love all of y'all. And in some small way, all of us have a little bit of daddy in us, and that'll always be. And even some of you grandkids, I mean, there's things I can see in y'all now, and hold on to that. I mean, hold on to that memory, just being told that. And I love y'all too. Happy birthday in heaven, Daddy.
All right, Raymond, anything you want to add? We're just coming back around. I promised folks we'd be on, give everybody a chance to reminisce. So you had, I think, some additional thoughts you didn't get to cover earlier.
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
I've been going in and out with this mute thing, so having a ball with it, I guess.
Yeah, I lost y'all a while ago, by the way.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm very surprised that Phyllis didn't say something about this, of all people, but listen to this. Just because you think you're so pretty. Don't you remember Daddy singing this?
Yeah.
Just because you think you're so hot. I've got
Keep going.
I've got it recorded. I should have brought it with me. Just because you think you've got something that no one else has got. You cause me to lose all my money. You laugh and call me old
Santa Claus.
But I'm telling you, baby, I'm through with you. Just because. And Uncle Louis used to sing this all the time when I was growing up, whenever he was living. And here come Daddy. Daddy sang the thing too. He just break out singing. Listen, one more thing, and that is that 4 days before Daddy passed on to see Gloryland, he and I were talking because it was my birthday. It was late at night. He always called late at night. And this was 10 years after his surgery. And I said to him, are you planning on having the surgery again? Because it was kind of cropping up on him to do that. And he told me, oh, no. He says, if the master is ready for me, I'm ready for him. And that was the last conversation I had with my daddy. So there you have it.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah, that's a sermon right there.
Beautiful memory. Beautiful.
All right. Well, let's go back around to any of the grandkids. Anything you want to add as we start to wind down a little bit? I know, again, it's just awesome to have everybody on the call tonight.
Well, that just made me think of something, Wayne. The night before Papa passed, I was actually at their house, and it was Christmas time. And I recall Papa sitting at the dining room table, and I remember going up to him and asking him if he was going to be able to come to my Christmas program, because I was singing in chorus. And I was just hoping he would be able to make it. But for some reason, the way he responded and the way I reflect on it now, I feel like he had an intuition of some sort. He knew he wasn't feeling good that night. I knew he had laid on the heating pad and so forth in the living room. But at the time when he responded to me, it was just as if he knew. But he said that he just didn't think he was going to be able to make it. He'd already told me, so I didn't expect to see him that night. But I remember someone else come and pick me up and took me instead. And then later on after my program, I remember going back to Grandma's house. But that was, he didn't give me hope that he would be there, but it was something that he was trying, I guess, prepare me for, something intuition. I don't know, but it just, I was glad to be with him that night before, because he was, it was just a moment in time I can look back on. It was special because I know he loved all of us, and we don't want anybody to suffer and be in pain. And I did see him suffering a little bit that night. Just so just like I said, he was on the eating pad afterwards, coming from dinner, I guess, that night.
Okay, Wayne, can I say one more thing?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. She was talking about that particular night, and I was working at Rosie's Dime Store in Rockingham. That's the old Rosie's. We got another Rosie's over here now, but over there on the highway and uptown there. And I was working at Rosie's Dime Store, and they had me working in like housewares mainly. and everything. But he came in, my car was parked out front, and he came in the door at Rosie's, and he had put oil in my car, believe it or not. And that's one thing he taught me to do, because I had to take care of my family in a big way later anyway, and I learned to do like stuff like that. I didn't own no mechanic, but I learned that from him, how to put the oil in the car. But he put oil in that car. And he come in the store and spoke to me that night, and he pushed the buggy and all that and everything. I remember him coming in and all, and I appreciate him doing that, of course. And I think Craig was like not at home during that time. He had been sick, but he knew that I traveled with the car, sometime out of town, and he needed oil. He was just taking care of me.
Well, if there's one thing that A.J. Riggan knew, besides the good book, the Lord, and banking, was that he knew about cars. And if he didn't know the answer to a car problem, he would go down to Yank downtown to go Yank's auto shop.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Mechanic Yank. He was great.
A couple of the quick memories, and then we'll do one last altar call, so to speak, on this birthday celebration. A couple things. I know, Beth, you and I went a couple of summers with Papa, and I think Grandma went too, but I definitely remember Papa going for sure. We went to Gatlinburg with the singing on the mountain there, and I remember that. And of course, I know there isn't a day that goes by that there's not something that causes me to remember him or a lesson that he taught me. Even when I get dressed to go to a business meeting, I was thinking about he made sure that he was trying to be the best dressed that he could be as a business person. And I just even though he was colorblind, I don't think if the younger kids knew that, he had to have things color coded. Austin, you didn't know that? Yeah. So he had things color coded in his closet, so he know what would match and what would not. And the one area where I have not been able to emulate him, and I'm still working on it, was that he was one of the most organized people that I ever met. And he even had everything. He had, y'all, those who were there, remember, he already had his funeral planned out. He had everything. He had his suit.
Yes,
he
everything.
Had a suit. He had the agenda. He knew what songs. I mean, he had it timed out. And I had a feeling that between him and Grandma, if we didn't follow that plan, that they were going to come right back and they were going to set it straight. But it was but he was the most organized person I ever knew. And that's the only thing I think that I haven't been able to emulate about him, is that he's always typing up something, writing on the back of an envelope, and y'all mentioned the ad machine, things like that. But I remember those Gatlinburg trips and
Gatlinburg. When you and Beth were very young, you and Beth were my only two then, and of course later on I had Sarah. But you and Beth were very. He took me and you and Beth on a trip to Gatlinburg when y'all were very young. Yes, we made that trip. I remember Gatlinburg, and I remember I bought a little souvenir. A couple of them. We got to shop around up there.
All right, let's do this. I know it's already 8 o'clock. We've spent an awesome hour reminiscing. Is there anything else that is anybody who hasn't spoken? Again, I'm trying to give everybody an opportunity. Anybody who hasn't spoken yet, who would like to say? I know Xanth was going to join us. I know Xanth, you heard a lot about Papa from us, but I'm not sure if she's on. But she was going to join us a little bit late. Anybody else?
I've got a lot of questions, but does anybody know how him and G-Ma met? I called Beth's kids all called them G-Ma and G-Pod, G-E-E-P-A and G-E-E-M-A. So G-Ma, does anybody know how they met?
Now, here's what I know, but I defer to Carroll and Mom. But they got, as I understand, they got married when she was in her last year of high school, but they didn't tell anybody.
11th grade.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true.
And they got married in middle school.
They didn't have 11 grades, and Daddy only went to 11 grades, and they only had 11 grades when they went to school.
That's
Papa
right.
used to drive the school bus.
Right,
but
right.
he come and picked her up. Well, the onion story is Grandma was peeling the onion, and her sister went to the door, and Jay was there, and he was coming to pick her up, take her out for a soda. And
She lost the
threw
onion.
that onion.
She never saw the onion
Never saw
again.
the onion again. They had holes in the floor. It might have flew out the back door. I don't know. And then she went out with Papa, and that's the story. Yeah.
There, that's a new one on me,
I ain't
buddy.
heard that.
Woo!
I never
Y'all
heard.
never heard that onion story?
No, no.
Oh,
That onion story she tell me all the time.
Must be a honeycut thing.
She said that they got married, that her daddy Jack didn't know a word about it, and I don't know how long it went, but then they finally, I guess, they told him, but he didn't know at first.
Wayne, we're gonna stay with the Riggan side, not the Honeycut, right?
Right.
Hello.
Never the twain shall meet.
Didn't they get married in Bennettsville?
Yeah, there's some parts of the family tree that diverged and then came back.
Yeah.
Well, man, Bill.
Now, it's my understanding too that their wedding anniversary, June 21st, was also her day that she graduated from high school.
Her birthday.
It was Mama's birthday.
Yeah,
Her birthday.
her birthday, their wedding anniversary, and
June
maybe-
21st. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That-
And
that
Daddy
helped
always said Mama was the best one out of the bunch, out of her sister. He always said that about Mama. He said
I'll
Mama
say
was
that
the
too.
best one.
He was right. I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
I reckon it was all right to say that.
Well, one last thing, talking about Dad and Mom. After Daddy had passed away, I called Mama one day. We raked our own pine straw back here, and I called her and I said, "Come on, Mama, you need to get out of the house. Come on and help me." Well, that was when we raked the pine straw. We packed the pine straw in the truck, and I mean, you've probably seen this thing on Lucy doing all the grapes and stuff, you know. Well, that's the way you'd have to pack the pine straw. So we were out raking one day, and we just kind of stopped for a minute, and we talked about her and Daddy and everything, because at that time it was just nothing had really been in discussion, you know, about them two or losing him, whatever. So we started talking about after they met and how good Daddy had been to her. And I brought out some good points at that time. And I told her, I said, you may not like what I'm fixing to say. And, you know, it's like one of you said something about how hard, you know, she was a hard mama. And Daddy was the one that was really more easygoing and stuff. But I made a comment to her that day, and I said, with everything we've talked about, I said, with where you come from and where Daddy come from was like one on different sides of town and different upbringings and stuff like that. And it wasn't that her family just didn't have a whole lot. And Daddy's family did. I mean, back then, if you had just a little piece of land, which the Riggans did, the Honeycuts had nothing. And I told her, I said, you know what? Daddy pulled you out of the coals of fire. And she just laughed. And I said, you know, it's the truth though, Mama. I said, you can look back and you should really be thankful that Daddy pulled you out and had you in his life. I mean, see, I didn't mind talking to her about things like that then. And it was just kind of opening a door. So anyway, that's my food for thought.
Is there anybody else who'd like to add anything during our call? No, I'm sort of torn. I'm torn between, you know, well, I mean, this is a happy moment. There's a lot of memories flooding back. So I hope this has been helpful for everybody.
Oh, I think this has been the greatest thing, Austin, you and Wayne, that you come up with this. I mean, just speaking on my behalf, I think it's been a wonderful time, and we could go on forever. I mean, bringing up different stuff, some laughter and some tears maybe. But anyway, I think it's been a wonderful thing, and I appreciate y'all doing this.
And Phyllis, are you having a gathering in October, or is that still under planning, or where are we?
Well, right now we're in the process of Wayne recuperating from a knee replacement. He hadn't had a great time this time, so he hadn't been on here tonight, but I'm gonna say possibly. I'm just still waiting on others maybe to respond on the site. so I can kind of get a taste of. I did hear from Aunt Betty and Uncle Walter. So anyway, hopefully we will. I'll be in touch.
Well, worst
Lane.
case
I'm sorry.
scenario, if we're not able to gather, we could always do another one of these. We'd have to, we'd have more people, of course. But Sarah, was that you?
That was me. I was just gonna say, the house that Papa was born in is still there. The Cluises, when I was growing up and attending church at Tabernacle, the house is not far from there. It's right there at the railroad track. And if anybody's ever interested in going to see it, like Mark or any of y'all who've never been out there, I'll be glad to, if y'all are ever in town, to show y'all where the house is at, where he was born. It's a nice old high ceiling house. But again, it's all that the building across the way there, across the road from that property and near the railroad track there was the store, the Riggan store. So there's still a lot of family history there, right there at the state line, going into Gaio from Hamlet. So it's there's a lot of history. So.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I hope from tonight, like I said, I came across that tape recording, and I know that there are some video recordings from and some other recordings that are out there. Maybe we can work on getting those together and downloading them and putting them in one spot. But I do. I think as we, and Sarah, I appreciate you putting those photos up there, and I saw Phyllis had posted on Facebook as well. I think that one of the most, the impact somebody's had when you continue to be thankful for them and to thank them and to reminisce and remember them years after they've passed. And here we are, 32 years after Papa passed, and but he is still here with us in spirit. And I'll just mention this last thing, and then we'll see. Then we'll close things for the night. Is that obviously he had an impact on each of us, on his children, on his grandchildren, and certainly indirectly on the great grandchildren. And there's so many other folks out there too. But there are still people today that when I'm back in Richmond County or I'm online on Facebook, whatever, people will talk about him, about AJ Riggan, and they'll say that he prayed for me. He helped me get my first loan, like Sarah said. Papa gave him advice. He helped him in some way. He was a giving person, a loving person, and talk about a great role model. Hard worker. They always think about him not only as a man of God, but also a man of integrity. And that's something that, we need to see more of. And he loved the Lord. So as we celebrate his 100th birthday, I just think that we were all blessed to be, for him to be, our fathers and grandfathers and to be in our lives. So with that, I hope that we'll continue to, and I know we will, know that he's here with us in spirit, and that we'll continue being an example for our kids and grandkids. I know I have. I talk about Papa all the time here with my kids, and they, I hope that they'll remember some of what I've shared with them. But with that, is one last call. Anything else? Mom, Carroll, Phyllis, Raymond, particularly want the siblings to talk.
I just want to say I love you all.
We love you too.
You were muted, Queen.
All right. Well, all right, everybody. Well,
Wayne, she said it when I had it muted. Sorry. Oh, I said I love all of you too. I know I was the oldest.
All right, Austin. I'm working on it.
Hi, Raymond. Raymond, you look like the Kentucky Fried Chicken man.
I like chicken.
All right. Well, let's continue to have family gatherings like this, but so in our own special way, just as you before you go to bed tonight, if you haven't already, just think about AJ Riggan and how much of an impact he has made on our lives, and happy 100th birthday in heaven, and we love you and we miss you.
Yep. Love you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.